mean, the idea that this is free speech, yeah. Trump, the free speech champion who threatens to jail reporters, who threatened to punish CNN and the Washington Post for reporting on him.
He's suing the Des Moines Register. He's suing the Des Moines Register because they put out a poll that showed him losing when he then won. He's suing CBS. He wants to take away CBS's broadcast license because he didn't like the way they cut a Kamala Harris interview. It has nothing to do with him. I'm Jon Favreau.
I'm Max Fisher.
Max, you're currently joining us remotely from, where are you right now? I know you and Julia left town earlier this week because of the fires. How are you guys doing?
We are all good. We are in Joshua Tree, which I know sounds pretty luxe and cush for sheltering, but it was literally the closest place where we could find housing by the time we bugged out late on Wednesday night, like a lot of people. We ended up at an Airbnb that was maybe unlisted because it is actively under construction, but it was therefore available, which is great. And we're here now with our 2 cats plus 2 friends who are sheltering with us, their cat, their dog, and their toddler, any combination of whom you may hear on this broadcast.
Wow. Welcome to Life with a Toddler in the background. Good stuff.
Yeah, I'm getting a sample now. But we're not on fire. That's the important thing. Yes. So everything is great.
I talked to Dan about this on Pod Save America a little bit, but I found that the current information environment, especially platforms like Twitter, has made it so much harder than it should be to get good, reliable information about the fires over the past week. And it's not just misinformation, though that there's plenty of that. It's also the takes to information ratio. Everything on social media is politics and conflict and blame, and people are just, looking for help and ways to help. I said this on Pod Save America, but Watch Duty is this great nonprofit app that everyone in Los Angeles now has probably downloaded that has just up-to-the-minute information about evacuation orders, fires, how it's going, nothing else. No chatter, no takes. And I've been looking at it. I'm like, oh, more apps like this would be great. I'm like, what are they? Oh, that would be news. Yeah, news is valuable. Yes. Just plain old news and information, and not your fucking opinion, which is what we're offering right now, of course.
That's right. It is wild to see an app literally from Silicon Valley that is useful, that does good. It's a reminder that technology actually can be a wonderful force that is so helpful. And it doesn't have forward-facing viral videos on it, so therefore is not the font of. I mean, it's been. I know you guys talked about it. We don't have to rehash it, but it's just infuriating to see the way that people are behaving in this moment. And there really was a time not that long ago, 3, 5, 8 years ago, when during a crisis, you would see mostly reliable and useful information on social media, and there'd be some engagement bait hot takes sprinkled in, but it would be the minority, and that is completely flipped now, which I think is something that we're learning from this. That's there are people trying to put out good information, there are agencies on there are news reporters, but they are getting totally drowned out by the hot takers. And the thing that really gets me is in a lot of cases, it's the same people.
Yes.
Like, it's the same individual people who a few years ago would have been sharing news articles and on-the-ground updates are now posting these, the same smug, self-righteous takes about how the fires confirm all of their political opinions before they even know what's happening, pushing whatever quote-unquote evidence lets them frame this disaster as my views are vindicated, everyone who disagrees with me is proven to be evil and stupid, which goes to show it's not like, it's easy to blame this on it's the trolls, it's the bad people online. No, this is all of us collectively have been encouraged by these social platforms to become our worst selves in moments like this. And a lot of us have chosen to indulge that because it feels good to get smug and self-righteous online. And we tell ourselves that we're helping because if I'm retweeting something or sharing a viral infographic that confirms my politics, it must be righteous and good.
Yeah. And when you said it's the same people who would have been sharing helpful information, it's also the same people that I don't know how many months ago when we were dealing with the aftermath or even during Hurricane Helene were putting out the same misinformation and conspiracy and stuff like that, which is the owner of the platform, Elon Musk, a bunch of his pals who are some of whom are headed into the next administration and the incoming president, right?
That doesn't help. Yeah.
Well, when you've got those people doing it, then it's gonna filter down to everyone else. So all we can say about that is if you're in LA or the area, download Watch Duty, but also just, before you share something, I should say there is some heroic reporting going on. Local
Absolutely.
journalism is
Yeah.
in Los Angeles is thriving right now. Not financially, unfortunately, but the people who put themselves at risk to report this, local news, LA Times, places like that have been doing a fantastic job. So it's unfortunate that a lot of it's being drowned out by the assholes on social media.
Which is, to your point, it can be all of us. I think
Right.
it's such an important thing to remember. Like, I can't tell you how many people who I know who want to be doing the right thing, who I saw sharing something, some viral rage bait that confirmed their politics on their Instagram or whatever, because if it's what everybody around you is doing, it feels like it's the right thing to do. So it's, don't, as easy it is, don't mentally separate yourself out and say, well, it's just the people on the other side who do it. When I do it, it's actually good and righteous. Like, really think about it before you share it.
Well, also, it just takes up everyone else's time, right? When we could be focused on, like, I went through like line items in the Los Angeles city budget to try to figure out what happened with this like accusation that the fire budget was cut. And and you go, the New York Times had a good piece on it today, and there's plenty of fact checks, and we talked about it on Pod Save America, but it's like, you really have to do your own research, which is part of the problem.
Right. Well, the fire department thing is a perfect example of it, because this is a claim that got started as a viral post from, ironically of all people, the right-wing owner of the Los Angeles Times, who shared it pushed it as an attack on Democrats, and then went viral a second time when it was shared by literally that same guy's daughter, which is just a crazy ironic twist to all of this, who put a left-wing spin on it by saying that, oh, these fire department cuts were to fund the LAPD. And so it's the same claim that is being seized on by both the right and the left as vindication of their politics, which should be a reminder to you that when you think you're advancing your politics by sharing this like rage baity stuff online, all you're doing is advancing the same like cynicism and culture of social distrust and political distrust that is so much the rot at the heart of our culture.
Well, and once again, it obscures what is always a complicated and sort of bigger debate to be had, which is like there's a totally legitimate debate about whether, like, for a decade or more, the LA Fire Department has been underfunded, and now that we're dealing with more fires and more extreme fires, do we need to rethink how the department is staffed, what resources it has? Like, all of that is like fair, and people can argue that, but we're not arguing that right now. We're just into the weeds on one budget request and the mistake someone made by not figuring out that the finalized budget was actually more than the original budget that they went with.
Just a math error. Yeah. Although a like perfect ironic capstone to all of this is that it turns out that the number of firefighters, whether or not that has been reduced by budget cuts, is actually not determinative at all at the scale of this fire. That it turns out it was just the extreme winds that made it impossible to fight the fire, which we learned when the winds lifted, all of a sudden all these helicopters and airplanes can fight the fires, and the one big fire that sprung up around them, the one near my house, got put out immediately, which was great.
Yeah. Offline is brought to you by Fatty 15. Have you noticed any signs of aging, such as poor sleep, lack of energy, stiff joints, or anything else? All of the above. We're excited to tell you about C15 from Fatty 15, the first essential fatty acid to be discovered in more than 90 years. It's an incredible scientific breakthrough to support our long-term health and wellness, and you guessed it, aging and longevity. Fatty 15 co-founder Dr. Stephanie Venn Watson discovered the benefits of C15 while working with the U.S. Navy to continually improve the health and welfare of aging dolphins.
These dolphins, these dolphins, they had these terrible debate performances, and they're just hanging on, and they wouldn't step aside, and then you're like, well, what's the point of having a dolphin if they're not able to do the stuff that you need a dolphin to do?
And it's not the dolphins' fault that we were experiencing inflation over the last 4 years, but they're just getting old.
Right. Well, it's just sort of like it's not the dolphin's fault, but also we need the dolphin to be able to explain it, talk about it.
Based on over 100 studies, we now know that C15 strengthens our cells and is a key longevity-enhancing nutrient, which helps to slow biological aging at the cellular level. In fact, when our cells don't have enough C15, they become fragile and age faster. And when our cells age, our bodies do too.
We're made of cells. You know that?
Cells and water, that's it. This eventually led to studies finding the first new nutritional deficiency in 75 years called cellular fragility syndrome, caused by a lack of the essential fatty acid C15. As many as 1 in 3 people worldwide may have low C15 levels, and cellular fragility syndrome.
Just walking around there, I got no idea.
To help fix cellular fragility syndrome, we call it CFS, and further extend our health and longevity, a team of doctors working in collaboration with the U.S. Navy spent over a decade to develop the pure, optimized, and bioavailable C15 zero ingredient and fatty 15. Best of all, fatty 15 comes in a gorgeous reusable glass bamboo jar, and refills are shipped right to your door. I think it just arrived at the office, and
Great.
boy, I can't wait for you to try it. And for me to try it.
Yeah, sure.
And for Tommy to try it.
Fatty 15 was my nickname in high school. I don't know what that means.
Fatty 15 is on a mission to optimize your C15 levels to help you live healthier, longer. You can get an additional 15% off their 90-day subscription starter kit by going to fatty15.com/offline and using code offline at checkout. That's fatty15.com/offline, code offline. This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. What do you want your 2025 story to be, John?
Boy.
More of a thriller? A romance novel?
Hey, you know what? I think I'd like to move from
Nonfiction?
I'd like to move from workplace comedy and
Workplace tragedy?
and first act of romantic comedy to sitcom. I'd like to move to situational comedy.
I like that.
Just pure sitcom.
I'll co-star with you. Every January brings you 365 blank pages waiting to be filled. In 2025, maybe you're ready for a plot twist, or maybe there's a part of your story you've been waiting to revise. Life isn't about resolutions that fade by February. It's about picking up the pen and becoming the author of your own life. Think of therapy as your editorial partner, helping you write new chapters and create the meaningful story you deserve to live. And unlike editors, it's not annoying. Therapists can be really helpful. They listen to you and they give you great advice. And it's just great to have someone that you can sit down with and talk to. I've tried therapy. I really enjoy it. I look forward to it every week. BetterHelp is fully online, making therapy affordable and convenient, serving over 5 million people worldwide. Access a diverse network of more than 30,000 credentialed therapists with a wide range of specialties. Easily switch therapist anytime at no extra cost. Write your story with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/offline to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/offline. Speaking of misinformation and dying platforms, we have a lot of news to catch up on. First up, in a strange direct-to-camera video featuring a bad haircut, a gold chain, and $1 million watch, 90s rapper Mark Zuckerberg announced that the company would be ending fact-checking and content moderation on its platforms, including Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp. In the video, Zuckerberg says, quote, "The recent elections feel like a cultural tipping point towards once again prioritizing speech," which to me reads as we're giving Meta a MAGA makeover before the Trump inauguration. You and I were just talking right before the recording. There's an Axios piece that they're also ending all DEI programs, hiring everything else.
Cool.
Max, what do you make of this? You think Trump and the incoming pressure from Republicans about, quote, free speech is guiding this decision? I mean, Trump thinks so. Trump was asked about it, and they're like, do you think that Mark Zuckerberg did this because you threatened him? And he's like, yeah, probably.
I know. I almost appreciate Trump putting out there what we all know is happening, which is that Trump threatened the company and the company bowed to it because they know it's going to be good for them. I mean, the idea that this is free speech, Trump, the free speech champion who threatens to jail reporters, who threatened to punish CNN and the Washington Post for reporting on him.
He's suing the Des Moines Register. He's suing the Des Moines Register because they put out a poll that showed him losing when he then won. He's suing CBS. He wants to take away CBS's broadcast license because he didn't like the way they cut a Kamala Harris interview. It has nothing to do with him.
No.
This is free
speech.
Mark, tell us about the free speech. Tell us about what exactly happened in this election that makes you think we are in a cultural tipping point towards prioritizing free speech. I would love Mark Zuckerberg, if someone can get him to answer that question. Tell me about Donald Trump's platform. What about the platform? What about his actions make you think that, and the outcome of the election makes you think we are now prioritizing free speech? Please Please provide us your answer, Mark Zuckerberg.
Well, it's obviously part of it is just like it's indulging the Trump narrative because he wants to send a big signal to Trump that, hey, we're on your side. And it wasn't just Zuckerberg, right? Joel Kaplan, who is the Republican Party operative who just got elevated to Meta's vice president for public policy, was the one who first rolled out these changes, which he did, of course, on Fox and Friends, where he said that they had been inspired by Trump's commitment to free speech. And then Zuckerberg, I think, like really tipped his hand a little bit when he said that they were part of it was also that they are ending fact checking because fact checkers are biased. I mean, it's giving away the game, Mark, when you're telling us that factual accuracy is biased against the kinds of content that Facebook would like to be serving us. So I think it's not just like we're going to indulge the Trump narrative because we want to make Trump happy so that he won't put our CEO in jail. I think there is a really sincere alignment here and a really sincere belief that, you know, all these fucking fact checkers and all these civil rights groups and all these watchdogs that keep telling us that we're pumping dangerous misinformation and hate speech into the global media ecosystem, we're tired of hearing from them. We don't like it. So we're just going to tell ourselves that they're biased in the sense that they have opinions that we don't like and are going to shut them down and are going to serve people whatever slop they want in a way that, frankly, the platform hasn't since 2016 was the last time that it was this unregulated, maybe not even then. And the platform was much less powerful than and much less influential. So we talk a lot about like, Meta is bad. Meta makes bad decisions. They're craven. They're cynical. All of which is true. So don't hear this and think like, oh, this is just kind of more of the same bullshit from Zuckerberg and Meta. These changes are really substantial, and the openness with they are now signaling, hey, we are a pro-Trump platform. We are a MAGA-aligned set of platforms. I think is a really, really big deal that is going to have huge shockwaves in our culture.
One other thing about the video. At one point, he's like, if you want to leave Meta, leave Facebook, that's fine. That's just virtue signaling. I'm like, oh, okay, Mark. You're going to talk about people virtue signaling when you've just recorded a hostage video that literally has everything but you wearing a MAGA hat in the video, dude. You look like a fucking moron.
I know.
And like, whatever. Mark Zuckerberg is about making money for Mark Zuckerberg. He is someone who... whatever, he's made a ton of money. He wants to keep making money. He wants to stay rich. He has accumulated a whole bunch of power. He sees no obligation to use that power responsibly, even if he accumulated it accidentally, right? He's always like the sort of, I didn't expect to be this powerful. I just like coding and building things, right? It's like, okay, even if that's true, you've gained a whole bunch of power. You run this huge platform. You have decided that you have no obligation to do anything to use that power responsibly. You've made a fuckload of money. You're one of the richest people in the world. Great. You have a foundation. You donate some of it to good causes. That's nice. But like, let's not pretend that the purpose of your company is to do anything other than make money.
Yeah, I think that there was a time when they believed that making money was the same as helping the world, and when they really believed that like there is a natural alignment because the more people we reach with our inherently liberating platform, the more, you know, we're going to connect people, the more that we will elevate a realm of pure ideas and democracy, and that will be helpful to everyone. And what they learned over the last 5 years is that that's
people
not
want
true.
AI slop. That's what they want.
They want more AI chatbots, which they are now promising to shovel more and more of into our feeds. Is it because they're going to replace all those people with AI chatbots that are going to have just weird slop they're going to give us? It's going to be horrible, but I guess they think it's going to be good for engagement. But they saw all this evidence, including from their own internal researchers, saying actually your platform in the way that you have structured it is harmful. And they just decided that they don't care. And we should talk about the biggest change of the many that they rolled out here, which is that they are going to bring politics back to your feeds. Remember, starting in, I think, 2021, they said we're going to de-emphasize politics across all of the platforms. And it worked in the sense that you did encounter a lot less politics on Facebook and on Instagram. And I think that that is a big reason that this most recent election had much less influence from social media misinformation than I think in 2016 or 2020. Remember we had a conversation where I argued that like actually the structure of social media in this election is maybe the least harmful it's been in a major presidential election in quite some time. I actually think that was true. And now they've said, you know, now that the Democrats are out of office and Trump is back, we want politics all over our platforms, because they did say this, but I think the implication is they know that the way that their platforms promote politics promotes division, hate, misinformation, conspiracies in ways that structurally serve the MAGA right. Not because they want it to serve the MAGA right, that's just the effect that it has. And they've gone from saying that we want to limit that because we don't want the heat to saying, you know what, Trump's in office and it's going to make him happy if we promote all of this stuff into people's feeds again.
Mark Zuckerberg has become a more pathetic version of Elon Musk, and that is saying something. He has seen everything Elon Musk has done with regard to politics, content moderation, everything else, relationship with Trump, and he was like, I'll try to do that, but in a much lamer way. That's Mark Zuckerberg.
At least Elon is trying to get something out of it. He's getting some concessions for Tesla, and he's pushing the like H-1B visa stuff, which I don't think makes him a good guy, but like he's leveraging that for something where, yeah, Mark is basically just saying, I'm your little lapdog and I'm going to do whatever you want.
Good for him. Hope he's happy. In other news, 2 long-shot attempts to save TikTok from a U.S. ban are underway. The first is an investment group led by billionaire Frank McCourt and Shark Tank investor Kevin O'Leary, who has delivered a proposal to ByteDance to purchase TikTok's U.S. assets. The second is oral arguments before the Supreme Court. They will determine whether to overturn a lower court's decision to uphold the TikTok ban. Of course, we are recording this Friday, January 10th. It is 10:30 a.m. Pacific. I was just checking I was checking X for updates on the oral arguments, and I'll tell you, it doesn't seem like it's going too well for TikTok.
No, it doesn't.
From
It's
both
the
the
and
conservative justices and even Sotomayor and Kagan, I've seen had some questions that probably aren't so helpful to TikTok. So it does not seem to be going that well for them. At the moment, ByteDance has not publicly expressed interest in the offer from the McCourt-O'Leary group, and it's unclear when we'll get a decision from the Supreme Court, though we do expect something before the TikTok ban takes effect on January 19th, which is, as of this recording, 9 days from now. Max, what do you think? Do you think that the deal has a chance? It seems like the Supreme Court is not going to save them, at least. Whatever, we could be wrong, but from the oral arguments, it doesn't seem like that. But what do you think about the deal?
I was very surprised to see this offer come together. As you know, I was very skeptical that anyone could get the kind of capital for this. I mean, we're talking about assets worth probably in the hundreds of billions. So even with a lot of loans, even if you have a big TV show about being an investor, it's hard to know how you could come up with the money. So maybe they did it, or maybe they think it is actually gettable for less than that. A couple big caveats. ByteDance has insisted that they will not sell and that they legally cannot sell under Chinese law. Now, maybe that's just a position. They might be saying that because they want to signal to the Supreme Court, you know, Frank McCourt is not going to bail you out for making a hard decision here, so we really want you to intervene, because their first choice, obviously, is that the Supreme Court overturns the law. So maybe they just want to downplay the deal. I will say, if a deal does go through, it would be a big L for me personally, because I said that it would be impossible for that to happen.
What we're focused
which is what's
on.
important here.
Yeah,
that's right, is what we're focused on. Like you said, the Supreme Court really sounds like they are not going to side with TikTok, but Trump has been getting noisier and noisier that he does want to save TikTok, and he has a lot of power. He can come in, and obviously the law goes into effect the day before his inauguration, but the law doesn't like delete TikTok from your phones. It just means you can't get updates for it, or you can't download the app. So even if the law goes into effect, he comes in and sometime in his first week, he tells the Justice Department not to enforce it, or he takes, says we need to do a 90-day review and then gets Congress to repeal it back or roll it back or something. It's possible that TikTok could effectively be saved with maybe a little disruption along the way.
Yeah, everyone always predicted that the savior of TikTok would be Pam Bondi. That's what everyone thought would happen.
It's a weird winding road we took to this.
I also think if the deal comes together and then ByteDance says no deal because the Chinese government says no deal, that should tell us a lot about the influence of the CCP on TikTok. If they refuse to sell, even for a fair purchase, because they just do not want to give up that algorithm for some reason, then I think I do think that says a lot, and we should, that's something we should all process.
That's a good point. I had been very skeptical of the national security grounds of this law, but if Beijing puts a big stamp of disapproval on it. That is pretty telling.
Yeah. Offline is brought to you by Lumen. Did you know 80% of resolutions fail by February? You can beat the odds with Lumen and improve your health. Lumen is the world's first handheld metabolic coach. It's a device that measures your metabolism through your breath. And on the app, it lets you know if you're burning fat or carbs and gives you tailored guidance to improve your nutrition, workouts, sleep, and even stress management. All you have to do is breathe into your Lumen first thing in the morning, and you'll know what's going on with your metabolism, whether you're burning mostly fats or carbs. Then, Lumen gives you a personalized nutrition plan for that day based on your measurements. You can also breathe into it before and after workouts and meals so you know exactly what's going on in your body in real time, and Lumen will give you tips to keep you on top of your health game. Because your metabolism is at the center of everything your body does, optimal metabolic health translates to a bunch of benefits, including easier weight management, improved energy levels, better fitness results, better sleep, etc. A lot of people around here using Lumen here at the office. You just do a quick metabolism check in the morning, which will generate a nutrition plan for the day to keep you on target to reach your health goals. You can blow into your Lumen before the workout. That way you can tell if your metabolism needs fuel to get through your whole training session. Then you can do it at the end of the workout. See if you need to refuel to keep your metabolism at an optimal level. Take the next step to improving your health. Go to lumen.me/offline to get 20% off your Lumen. That's lumen.me/offline for 20% off your purchase. Thank you, Lumen, for sponsoring this episode. Offline is brought to you by ZBiotics Pre-Alcohol. Let's face it, after a night with drinks, I don't bounce back the next day like I used to. I have to make a choice. I can either have a great night or a great next day. I'm not choosing. I choose pre-alcohol.
Hell yeah.
ZBiotics Pre-Alcohol Probiotic Drink is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. Here's how it works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It's this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for your rough next day. Pre-alcohol produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. Just remember to make pre-alcohol your first drink of the night. Drink responsibly, and you'll feel your best tomorrow. I love ZBiotics. I try to remember it every time I have a drink, because the only other option is just spilling your entire drink and breaking the glass on the floor on our rug, like John Lovett did when he was at our house.
How'd that turn out?
Last week?
How'd that turn out?
I know. I was just telling Ari. Rug looks great
It's great. It worked. We got it out.
because it wasn't red wine. It
It
was
was.
just a
It
spritz.
was just a spritz.
just a
just a
spritz,
spritz.
and it was at the end. There was a lot of water and ice, so I think the rug cleaner got it out.
Great, Emily.
How'd you feel the next day?
Oh, that didn't leave a mark at all.
Oh, great.
Well, honestly,
No, I was going to say about the drinking.
Well, when it lands on the floor, it doesn't really hurt your morning. But no, you know what the worst part about that is? When you drop a cup at a party, you don't feel great about it. And so Emily, as the host, was so magnanimous. She walked up to me and she said, so sweetly, "Great, fucking great. The only rug you shouldn't have dropped it on. I'll send you the bill." And that really made me feel comfortable. That really made me feel at ease.
It's funny because there were, I don't know, 7 or 8 children between 1 and 6 years old.
And none of them
None
broke
of them
anything.
spilled anything.
No.
Just John Lovett.
No. A couple of them crawled across broken glass.
Yeah, that's true.
Which again was on me, not on them.
Go to zbiotics.com/offline to learn more and get 15% off your first order when you use offline at checkout. ZBiotics is backed with a 100% money-back guarantee, so if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. Remember to head to zbiotics.com/offline and use the code offline at checkout for 15% off. All right, on to Twitter. Over the holiday break, Elon Musk announced an incoming, quote, algorithm tweak to Twitter that would begin prioritizing, quote, entertaining and informational content on the platform. In the announcement, Musk said his goal at Twitter was to, quote, maximize unregretted user seconds. So far, I don't have any of those. What about you? Haven't found an unregretted second yet.
It's really putting our finger on, if I had to come up with a word that defined my experience with social media, it would be regret. So he understands the problem, I guess, at least, which is that none of us feel good about the time we're spending on these apps.
I don't know. I mean, I look, obviously, the most cynical interpretation is he just wants to have another excuse to promote his content and content that he agrees with. But could there be something else here? I don't know.
I mean, it's very funny to me that the trigger for this change was literally Elon getting in a Twitter fight with Laura Loomer, the far-right MAGA wackadoo white nationalist and maybe Trump girlfriend, which simply makes my skin crawl, where they got in an argument
that is, of
over
course,
this.
that is just a rumor that some people have have spread online. We cannot confirm
That's
that
true.
at all. Please don't sue us.
Of course not. Nor do I want to confirm it, frankly. I would prefer that this one remain unconfirmed. They got in a big fight, and then he started stripping blue check marks and people who disagreed from the MAGA side of the argument. Laura Loomer said something like, "Now I understand Luigi Mangione," which was funny, at least I thought.
Oh my gosh, I missed that.
But I think it's if it is a real thing and not just a thing he said in the moment, my read of it is that now that the Democrats are leaving office and Trump is back, there's much less incentive for Twitter to do what it normally does, which is to make everybody feel angry and despondent and terrible about the world. Mm-hmm. And now he's got more political incentive to say, well, my guy is in office and now we're all going to feel positive and happy.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was less than 24 hours after he said that, he agreed with a post calling most Trump voters retarded. So I don't think that's a... I don't know. I don't know that that's the kind of informational or entertaining content I would like to see on my platforms. Is the owner of the platform approving that word to call people?
You're not feeling unregretted.
No, not at all.
As of that moment, it's really surprising me that he's still in the inner circle. I have to tell you. I mean, speaking of Max taking L's on this podcast, I was so sure that he was going to be out by now. That was, I think, my last prediction I made before we went out on the break. And it turns out that over the break, he became the president-elect.
I think that Donald Trump understands celebrity and reach and influence. And look, Donald Trump's never running for president again. He might be president again, but he's not running for president again. I think he knows that, but despite that, I think he knows that Elon has a huge reach and he wants to keep, so even if he is personally ticked off by Elon, he needs to keep him inside the tent, at least for now.
I think that's right. Rex Tillerson didn't have 3 million followers on Twitter.
No, that's why he got fired on the toilet. All right, finally, last week, Apple agreed to pay $95 million to settle a class action suit claiming that Siri violated users' privacy by routinely recording private conversations and selling data to advertisers. Also known as the thing almost everyone with an iPhone assumed was happening. Fuck you, Siri. How could you? We trusted you. Yeah. You've been a big "your phone isn't listening to you" advocate. Are you ready to admit you were wrong, or is this lawsuit more complicated than it seems?
It's another L for your boy. I'm racking up quite a few. As if fleeing my home from a natural disaster were not enough. It's just really insult to injury. So, okay, yes. Forever and ever, what I have always said to people when they say, people say, "Oh, I think my phone is listening to me, is eavesdropping because, I had a conversation with my friend about basketball, whatever, and then I opened up my Instagram and it was full of ads for LA Lakers tickets." And I would always tell people, no, that's not what's happening. What's happening is that your friend went home and Googled Lakers tickets, or, your cousin Googled Lakers tickets. And these ad networks, they know who your friends are because they buy your personal data from Facebook or wherever. And they also know that you are in the same location because they track your location data. And they put that together to serve you the ads, which is, I think, not any better than your phone eavesdropping on you. But it's just I would always say, no, it's not eavesdropping on you. And it turns out that your phone was eavesdropping on you. In at least some number of cases, according to this lawsuit, which Apple has not conceded is true, but they are settling, which tells us something. What was happening was that in some number of cases after 2014, Siri was triggered to listen when it should not have been.
Which happens to all of us, right?
I mean, I apparently.
Well, I've said something, and I don't use Siri ever, but you've said, I've said something, and all of a sudden the Siri thing pops up, and you're like, no, go away, Siri.
So it was, according to this lawsuit, which is based on testimony from a whistleblower who spoke to The Guardian in 2019, Siri was being triggered without that even popping up on your phone.
Oh, Jesus.
So you would just be going about your business, having a conversation with someone, and your phone would be recording it as if you were talking to Siri, and then would sell that data to advertisers. There's some indication that it was maybe triggered if you have an Apple Watch when you were lifting up your phone. And the president had an Apple Watch for a while, so that's fine and definitely not disconcerting at all. The settlement is only $95 million, which is really low.
I was going to
for
say
something like this.
Yeah.
So It's hard to know how to read the tea leaves in this. Did Apple get such a low settlement because they played hardball and they're a trillion-dollar company with a lot of lawyers? Did they get such a low settlement because the evidence for the case was actually shaky? I don't know, but it is definitely a pretty meaningful data point in favor of maybe your phone is listening to you sometimes.
Cool. Well, let's see what ads we get after this.